everybody, and welcome back to Fantasy Football. I say welcome back because this is the second season we are going to be doing this, and I'm really looking forward to it. I get to chat about the games of the week, have a look at how well my team's doing, and kind of what changes we're going to make for the next week. So we have had the opening weekend of the Premier League. It has all come about. It was very interesting. It was very enjoyable. And I did okay. I think I got 55 points in total. I think if you go back to the first episode last time of Fantasy Football, I did really badly the first week. I had a terrible week. So I'm actually okay with this. I think there were a few things which went against me, obviously. To only get 55, the average was 53, so I'm very much average here. 2 millionth, it's very average. But yeah, really looking forward to carrying on this and seeing how we go. So just to go through the team, we had De Gea in goal, got 3 points. Unfortunately, Man United let in that late goal. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Alexander-Arnold, Van Dijk, they got clean sheets. Van Aanholt did well. Jorginho got subbed in for Trippier because Trippier didn't play. I'll talk about that a bit as well. Sane barely played. Sanchez did play and got he got an assist, sorry. He did get an assist, so it's something. I think it was for the penalty, maybe. I think Son barely played. Benteke played pretty well, but didn't do anything, worthy of points. Aguero again didn't get any points, and Zaha scored a goal. So, pretty average there, really. Obviously, with hindsight, I'd love to go back, but I think I'm quite happy with what we got on the bench. Zanka with 1 point, Noble with 2. Stecklenburg obviously didn't play. It's okay, we're doing fine basically. So so Jorginho got automatically put in for Trippier on there. So let's chat about the games and what happened. First one was on Friday night, I guess. Man United v Leicester. I watched all of this, and it was quite a fascinating game actually. I thought Man United came out the blocks really quite well. I was actually quite shocked because there's been a lot of negativity around them, but yeah, they seem to do all right to begin with. Anyway, they got a pretty good goal with Shaw. Oh, was that the Sanchez assisted that one? I didn't think he assisted it, but okay, fine, whatever. They got a pretty good goal in Shaw, and that's obviously quite a surprise because he doesn't really score. And then I think they doubled their lead, didn't they, with Pogba through a penalty, which was awarded for a foul on Mata, I believe. And then Vardy late on scored. It was a weird goal. It was kind of like crossed in, and then the keeper and the defender made a bit of a mess of it. I think maybe it was Bally, I'm not too sure, but it made a bit of a mess and it went in. It was a weird one. But Man United were not at their best. I thought Fred looked pretty decent as a kind of signing. Sanchez disappointed me a little bit. I had high hopes for him kind of coming into this game, being a guy who didn't have a World Cup, and so he had a nice kind of pre-season to get into it, and he didn't do it. He wasn't bad, he just didn't light up the match or anything. If anything, Pogba was probably the best player on the pitch, if not Shaw. To be fair, Shaw was really good. But definitely Man United faded later on. I thought Leicester came right back into it. Damari Gray was giving them a bit of a torrid time. What's his name? Is it Maddison for Leicester, who was very good in central midfield. Well, kind of more of an attacking midfielder. Who they kind of signed from Norwich pre-season. He looked really decent, and Leicester had their chances to get back into it. They really did, but they didn't really have that cutting edge. They weirdly left out Vardy and played Iniacho. Vardy came a lot later, still managed to score. That was a weird one. I never quite understood that because Vardy didn't really play that much in the World Cup. Maybe they just felt that Iniacho had a good pre-season and was in some good form, and yeah, I don't know. De Gea definitely kept Man United in it. How many times do we say that? But he made some very good saves. Maddison, in particular, I think it's Maddison. Yeah, I think it's Maddison. Maddison in particular had a really good shot, and it was a great save from De Gea. So he looks back to his best. Although, as I said, the goal from Leicester was a bit of a weird one for them. In terms of Man United, I think that's a really good win for them. They came into it season with a bit of doom and gloom and pessimism at not really having signed that many players. Or, I mean, they did sign players. It's not fair to say they didn't, but they, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on there, isn't there, with Mourinho? Let's face it. Pogba was given the captaincy, and there's these kind of like, different debates about. He said some stuff about Mourinho. Well, not really about Mourinho, but he kind of said that, if he said anything about Mourinho, he'd end up getting fined, or if he told the truth about Mourinho, he'd end up getting fined, or whatever. It was a weird one. There does seem to be seeds of dissatisfaction there at Man United, and there has been for a while. So I wonder what's actually going to go on. But it's a good win. Leicester are a decent side. They looked good. I don't think they're going to be in trouble this season, but God, I keep yawning as well. Jeez. But you never really know, do you? So we'll see. Yeah. So Man United, they did have a good start, but after that they really didn't do so well. I thought they faded quite a lot, and it was surprised me that Leicester didn't manage to get back into the game. I was kept willing Sanchez to do more, but Lukaku came on and did miss a pretty good chance to make it a bit more comfortable. I think he hit the crossbar maybe, but overall I would say it was a kind of Mourinho-esque performance in that the team didn't necessarily play sparkling football or brilliantly, but they did enough to win the game. And at the end of the day, their 3 points is worth as many 3 points as everyone else's 3 points. They got 3 points. So yeah, Amati gave away the penalty with a handball. I think it was a penalty, personally. I would say it was. It was quite close to being his shoulder, but I think it was a handball, personally. Those sorts of things are always a bit hard, hard on the player, but it's the way it goes with football, really. So yeah, Sanchez did okay for me there. Next up, we had the Saturday lunchtime game, Spurs versus Newcastle. Spurs winning 2-1. We had a good goal by Vertonghen, which used the goal line technology. It apparently was like 10mm over the line or something like that, ridiculous. Sanchez kind of like headed it, and then I think Vertonghen tried, and it looked like a good save from Dubravka, but it did actually go in, so that was given. And then Newcastle hit straight back with Joselu, and then Ali finally with a really nice cross from Aurea, finding him at the back post, heading in. Again, not a particularly decisive performance from Spurs. To be fair to Spurs, they did enough to win. They had a lot of players who went to the World Cup, and they played a lot of those players, which was the weird thing, I think, because they didn't start with Son, who, in my opinion, played a lot less minutes in the World Cup than many of the other guys on the pitch. They didn't start with Trippier. I kind of understand that, in a way, thinking about it. My idea with putting Spurs players in the squad was that because their squad's quite small, they'll end up using those players, but Trippier they didn't use at all. I don't think he was on the subs bench. It worked out in my favour in the end with Jorginho, to be fair, so I'm not that annoyed about it. And I guess with Serge Aurier, who didn't go to the World Cup, they've got a pretty good backup there, really. So it's kind of understandable from that way. But they did enough to win. They played okay, but I never felt like they were like smashing it. They didn't look like they were to get to full speed, and honestly that's totally understandable because they had a short pre-season. They haven't signed anyone. That's the kind of big thing that people keep going on about. It did make me laugh. I was listening to 606 on 5 Live. That's a radio station for those who don't know. BBC Radio 5 Live is kind of not dedicated to sports, but it's mainly sports orientated. They have a football show called 606 because it starts at 6 minutes past 6 after the football, where people phone in and chat, and this Spurs fan phoned in and said this result totally justifies Tottenham not buying anybody, shows it was the right decision. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, you beat Newcastle 2-1, a side who also barely signed anyone, who actually made about 20-30 million pound net profit from their sales, and you're telling me that this proves that Spurs are right not to sign anyone. I mean, they were arguing that it means they had their team, they know their team is together, they're happy, they're not having to bed anybody in. But I think most people would agree that maybe 1 or 2 signings is quite nice just to freshen things up a little bit with the team. They didn't lose anyone either, to be fair, so it's not like they weakened themselves. But the argument I would say is that if the team wasn't strong enough to win the league last season or the season before, why is it strong enough this season when both Man City and Liverpool have strengthened? That, and then the guy on the phone, I mean, he was clearly an idiot, but he was saying that, well, it's better than what Chelsea do. They just sack a manager, bring another one in, change everything. And Robbie Savage, who's like the co-host there, was like, yeah, Chelsea won the league 2 seasons ago, while Spurs won. And the guy's like, oh, well, that's just a cheap shot because, saying about what Spurs won, it's not all about trophies. And it's just like, what is it about? What is it about then? The guy said he thinks Spurs have got enough about them to win the league this season. I would disagree, but you never know what's going to happen to you, to be fair. I think they would have been better off if they'd assigned a couple of players, at least strength and depth. The particular one I would say would be in the Harry Kane position. It's tough, I know, because you're not going to get a player who wants to go to Tottenham because Harry Kane's there, so they're not going to get many games. But maybe if you got someone slightly younger, you said to him, hey, we're going to play you in the cup games or whatever, and or even somebody on loan. They got Llorente, but honestly he's not very good. So yeah, I do wonder what Spurs are going to do this season. As for Newcastle, well, it's no disgrace to lose to Spurs. They are a good side for all I've just said. It's not like they're a bad side or anything. They're more than capable of finishing top 4 again this season, I think, personally, as long as they don't get too many injuries. But I think Newcastle are going to struggle, aren't they? Like, they really did not buy anybody in the window. Like, they did buy people. They brought Rondon, which could be a smart buy, but is he any better than Dwight Gale, who they ended up losing to West Brom? I think it was West Brom, was it? I think so. It's kind of like a swap deal, I think. The answer is, I don't know. We'll see. He had a good chance, Rondon, which hit the crossbar. Possibly should have done a bit better, but maybe a bit rusty at Newcastle. So it's going to be a long season for Newcastle. It's really sad what's happening because they, for those who don't know, they are just one of the best supported sides in the Premier League, and everybody remembers the swashbuckling days under Keegan. I do anyway, and they were brilliant then. And Alan Shearer days is brilliant, but they've just been leached upon by this idiot. He's not an idiot, to be fair. He's very smart, but it's the way it goes. Until someone comes in and makes a bid and buys him out. He said he wants to sell, but he's not going to sell it on the cheap, basically. So until someone comes in and actually buys it and invests in the club, life could be hard. And if it would be no surprise to me if at some point this season, if not at the end of the season, Rafa walks away, which would leave them in a lot of trouble. So I hope it doesn't happen, but it looks a bit grim for Newcastle right now. Bournemouth v Cardiff. I think I tipped Cardiff to go down, didn't I? Yeah. Bournemouth looked alright actually. Bournemouth looked pretty good. They played some good football. Wilson ended up missing a penalty. It could have been, more. Well, it was saved, but you know what I mean. Cardiff again a struggle. If anyone can keep them up, it is Neil Warnock. I think he is just that kind of manager who will, galvanise a team. Who, in all honesty, I mean, they are a championship team. They remind me a lot of like Huddersfield or someone like that. And Huddersfield stayed up, to be fair, but they don't look like they've got Premiership quality there, and goals are going to be a problem for them, I think. So, it was a bad loss to Bournemouth, really. But fair play, Bournemouth. I said before, in my predictions, I'm not writing off Bournemouth this season. I seem to do it every year, and they end up, winning. So, well, not winning, but they end up staying up, and they ended up winning here. So, fair play to them. As I said, it was some good play, and I think Bournemouth will be alright. Cardiff, I mean, they're really going to have to pick up points against the teams around them and things like that. Next up, we have Crystal Palace, the team I support, with a really good 2-0 win. I was listening to this on the radio because in the UK you can't watch football matches whose kick off at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, even though in other countries you can. It's basically to protect crowd attendances, but it's so archaic, it's unreal, but anyway, Fulham battered us for about the first 15-20 minutes. They really did. I was very worried. I was very, very worried. When I watched the highlights later on Match Today, they were playing really well. They had a real kind of spring in their step, and this guy Seri, they've got in midfield, looks the real deal, doesn't he? Apparently he was wanted by Barcelona like the season before, so he does look good. He looked like he controlled a lot in there. And yeah, Fulham overall, they created a lot of chances. They look good, but I think it was Pat Nevin, the radio commentator, said that they could have gone in at half time 3-0 up if this was a championship game, but it's not. And Hennessy pulled off some great saves. Palace defended well, and we got the breakthrough with a goal from Schlupp, assisted by Van Arnold. Not the usual place we'd find goals in Jeffrey Schlupp, to be fair, but it was a cracking finish. And yeah, it was good to go in half time 1-0 up after weathering a storm to begin with, definitely. I thought Fulham looked pretty good. A lot of people are kind of saying they could get like top 10, top 8 even. They've spent 100 million, which is the most a promoted side have ever spent. I don't see them getting that high, but I can see them staying up. If they play like they did against other sides in that first 15-20 minutes, get a little bit of luck here or there, they're going to be fine. My one slight worry is the keeper looks a little bit dodgy, but I don't know about that. They had some injuries in defence as well for this game as well, and Palace rode their luck. But my God, a win on the opening day of the season for Crystal Palace. Let's just remember last season we went 7 games, we lost them all, we didn't score a goal. The difference in this team, and it's not that different, we didn't play one of our new signings in this game. So this is basically the same players who were available, back at the beginning of last season. With the exception, I guess, of Zaha, who was injured then, which was probably the reason why we lost. But anyway, and just the difference in the team. Once we got back in the game, we looked good, I think. Wan-Bissaka, there's been a lot of talk of him, especially as he's so cheap on fantasy football. He's a good signing. I didn't go for him because I thought Van Arnold, Zaha and Benteke would do well. I was right about 2 of them, to be fair. Benteke actually played well, to be fair. He set up some chances, he could easily got an assist. Zaha didn't finish very well, but he did finish well when Wan-Bissaka set him off. Rounded the keeper, put it in calmly, and if there's any doubts about Wilf Zaha, I don't know why there is. He does it over and over again. He is absolute quality. there will be teams kicking themselves at the end of the season they did not sign him. Trust me. If Spurs had signed him, if they'd have actually put their money where their mouth is and really gone out and signed him, I think he would have joined them, and I think he would have been brilliant for them. But yeah, it's interesting because we're almost playing him now as like a second striker or like a kind of number 10 just behind Benteke rather than a winger, but he really just plays anywhere he wants. You know, he is that kind of like Messi for us, essentially. I'm not saying he's that good, I'm just saying like he plays in that kind of role of like, just do whatever you want, get the ball to him, he will do something. And it feels really good that Palace won that game. Really good. I was so happy. Honestly, I think Palace are going to be okay this season. As I said, I'd be really happy with top 10, just pushing up from last season and maybe not to be sucked into a relegation battle at any point. I think this is probably our last season with Zaha unless we really push on and do something spectacular, which you never know, but it's a big one. I hope Zaha has a great season. I hope we get a lot of money for him at the end of the season. I hope he goes on and has a brilliant career. Yeah, we'll see anyway. Anything could happen. He could get injured badly tomorrow, so you just don't know. But a really good win for Palace, I think. Fulham with a lot of new signings in their team. It's going to take a little bit of time to gel. It was probably a good time to play them. As I said, Palace had no new signings in there. Coyote was on the bench. Max Meyer didn't make the squad. I'm thinking that's just a fitness thing. And Guarita, the goalkeeper, Hennessy played in front of him, and Hennessy did really well. He pulled off some really good saves. As I said, Fulham were unlucky not to get something out of that game. They really were. And I think Huddersfield, I think the result flattered Chelsea a bit, but I definitely think Chelsea deserved to win this game. Huddersfield weren't quite as bad as that might suggest, but Chelsea were just really, what would be the word, clinical in their finishing, Kante scored the first one. That's weird, Kante scoring, right? But Jorginho being in the team does allow him to push forward a bit more, and the guy's got the engine to box it, hasn't he, really? So that could be really good. Surprised me that he came back into this game and played it, because obviously he won the World Cup, played all the games. But hey, the guy is when he dies, they need to chop him up for medical science and find out what the hell is in his lungs, because he just keeps going and going, doesn't he? He's a wonderful footballer. Seems like a brilliant guy too. So really happy for him. Jorginho got the second from a penalty. Nice to know he's going to take the penalties. Took a good one too. It was very calm, collected. And then Pedro with a decent finish at the end. I was thinking of putting Pedro in my team, weirdly, because I thought he would start a few games, but obviously I didn't. As I said, Huddersfield not quite as bad as this would suggest, but I definitely think Chelsea deserve to win, and it's a really good win for Chelsea because obviously they've been criticised for not spending in the transfer market, or not, shall we say, backing their manager. They have spent a lot of money. They spent nearly 100 million. It's just that really they spent it on a couple of players, but they have a really good midfield. The defence, it's not terrible, but it needs a bit of work. The only place I would say that really might be a bit of a worry is the Morata-Giroud situation. I don't think either of them are quite, I think Morata can be really good, but he hasn't taken well to the Premier League, has he? I don't think. He's a bit off and on. And Giroud, well, we all know what Giroud can do, but he won the World Cup with France, but he didn't score a goal. Did he even have a shot on target? I don't think he did. So he's more of a kind of a kind of build-up kind of striker rather than a goal-scoring striker. So Chelsea might miss that, but if Hazard can get going, if Pedro, Willian, and all those guys can score goals, then there's no reason why Chelsea can't do well. I put them down at 6th, I think, in my prediction. But I don't know if I said it at the time, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did get top 4. I can't see them challenging, but I think realistically, no one's really expecting them to probably challenge for the league. I would think that Sarri's like objective this season is to qualify for the Champions League. I would imagine that as much as Abramovich likes to win, and that's the mentality at Chelsea, I would imagine that he'll be fine if they qualify for the Champions League, or at least come close to doing so, and then kind of build on next season. I hope so anyway. Watford Brighton. Watford won 2-0, goals from Pereira. It always fascinated me that he joined Watford, because I always felt like he was a really good player. Obviously joined from Juventus, and yeah, he's just a really good player. I remember using him quite a lot in my Italian team in FIFA 17 or 16. No, it must have been 16, I think, and on Ultimate Team. So I was surprised when he went there, but clearly there's some quality there. Played really well. Watford are a weird side. Like they're like Bournemouth for me. Not in the way they play, but just don't write them off. A lot of people thought this would be a really tough season for them. It still could be, but they just seem to be able to win games, even though they don't seem to be that good. I think Decor in midfield re-signing a contract is really big for them. So I think they should be okay this season, but you never know. They could get sucked down into that relegation, so we'll see. And Brighton did not look good. That could be a worry for them. They have signed quite a lot of players, and a few of them weren't available, so they have got that to kind of come. So they could be okay, but they weren't very good, to be fair. And then Wolves versus Everton. Interesting game, right? Everybody kind of saying Richarlison, he's not worth 50 million, pops up with 2 goals. The first one was a bit of a goalmouth scramble, but the second one was a quality finish. Just kind of like bending it round a player into the far corner. The keeper, obviously unsighted, couldn't react in time. The red card really changed things. That was quite early on. Jagielka getting sent off. Personally, I didn't feel it was a red. But I can see people's points when they say it is a red, if that makes sense. I thought it probably was a yellow, but that's what you get, I guess. The star of the show for Wolves was obviously Neves. He was their best player last season. Unlucky not to win Player of the Year, I think. Scored a really good free kick again. Questions about Pickford's positioning there. Didn't quite trust his wall, and the player took advantage of that. Possibly a savable free kick though, if you're being really harsh. And then he set up Jimenez with a really great cross, just absolutely peach perfect, and Jimenez just hitting it on his debut. So all in all, a decent game. I think Everton actually looked pretty good considering they played most of that game with 10 men. I think they're going to be alright, and I think they are going to push up and onwards this season. I think Wolves are going to do okay. A lot of people saying they're going to be right up there. I think they're going to be mid-table and they're going to be fine, but there will be tougher tests than playing against 10-man Everton for majority of the game. So we'll see at the end of the day, but probably a fair result for both those teams in there, and a good result. I think you don't want to lose on an opening game of the season. I think that's the most important thing. You want to at least get points on the board and get going, and try and have a good performance, because you're never going to come out the blocks absolutely flying. That is, of course, unless your name is Liverpool, because my God, they were good. I watched this game. I was really looking forward to it, thinking it could be a bit of an end-to-end humdinger. No, it was just one end, and that was West Ham's goalmouth. Jeez Louise, West Ham were poor. You remember a few seasons back when Leicester won the league, and it was mind-boggling how everybody just played to Leicester's advantage and just played a high line, and then Vardy would just get behind from a Mahrez pass. West Ham kind of did a similar thing here, where they defended on the edge of the 18-yard box, which just allowed Liverpool to just put through these lovely little balls that they love through and make a little run and dart in. Mane was brilliant. I thought he was really, really good. Obviously got the 2 goals. one of them was offside, I will say that much, but Liverpool could have had 10 here. I'm not even exaggerating, they could have had 10. Salah obviously got the opener as well. Nice little finish from him. Sturridge with his first touch of the game gets it. Yeah, you know, James Milner had a fantastic game. He got man of the match, which was a bit weird, as Mane scored 2 goals, but he did play really well. And West Ham, just, I don't know, they didn't look with it at all. I mean, they have signed a lot of players, and those players need to get in and need to bed in, and you don't want to be playing Liverpool away on the first game of the season, so I wouldn't read too much into that from West Ham's point of view, but I would read into it that Liverpool looked really good. They did not look like last season, you know, the disappointing finish affected them in any way. They looked on it. Keita in midfield looked like he'd played there for the last 5 years or something. He looked really solid, really good. Alisson was fine, made the saves he needed to, played the ball out when he needed to, and you know, we know most of the other Liverpool players are all pretty good. They played Joe Gomez at the back actually, which was interesting. He did pretty well. Van Dijk was just his normal brilliant self as well, you know, getting me the 6 points. Alexander-Arnold had a free kick which was close to going in, but yeah, you know, it's looking ominous, isn't it? Liverpool, you know, and when you look at the subs they brought on Sturridge, they brought on Shaqiri, like, that's not bad. You know, we go on about the strength and depth of Man City, but that's pretty good as well. So I think it could be a really good year for Liverpool. I really hope we do see this, you know, battle between them and Man City for the league, and other teams as well. I hope it's not like last season where we just see this, you know, parade almost by the end of it, and it's just a fight for second, third and fourth. I hope we do see a bit of a humdinger, and I think we will do. I think Liverpool will look good. Whether they can beat Man City, I don't know, but that's a good way to start, isn't it? There will be tougher games to come, and West Ham will get better, I'm sure of that. I don't think West Ham will be in trouble this season, but they need to get a bit smarter about the way they play. Their defence was awful. It was really bad. And going forward, they had a few chances, but like, there wasn't a lot going on there, to be fair. It was pretty much one-way traffic. So Crystal Palace got Liverpool next week. Oh God. Yeah, well, we'll see. Southampton Burnley. I haven't watched this game. I haven't seen the highlights. There probably wasn't that many. Well, it looks like McCarthy pulled off a good few saves. I'd say that's a decent point for both teams. Burnley coming off the back of Europe. Southampton not being brilliant, but signing a lot of players, so they've got a bed in. We'll see how they go on. I haven't got much to say about that, to be fair. Man City Arsenal, really looking forward to this game, and it was a really interesting game as well. Man City absolutely hammered Arsenal in about the first 10-15 minutes. I thought this was going to be an absolute rout. Arsenal at the back looked like Arsenal at the back. You know, there was no difference there. Granit Xhaka was hitting passes which was going straight to Man City players. They played the 19-year-old lad in midfield, Guendouzi, and I was like, Jesus Christ, you are asking for trouble here. In reality, he actually played quite well, but we'll come back to that later. Sterling scored. Nice finish. Check a bit unsighted. It was coming. It was deserved, and they got it. But I felt like after that, they really, they just lost their way a little bit. Arsenal came back into the game after half time. They had some chances, and Man City certainly didn't look very fluid, kind of as they were going. It was a weird one, you know. They almost seemed to get involved a little bit in kind of trying to wind Arsenal up a little bit, and the crowd up, and time wasting and stuff like that. And it was like the 60th minute, and you're like, this is weird. We didn't see this last season. Maybe that's a little bit of nerves getting to them, you know, wanting to start the game well, knowing that Liverpool obviously started off well, thinking that there might be their best best rivals, knowing Man United also got a win, Chelsea got a win, Tottenham got a win, you know, and maybe it was getting to them a little bit, I don't know, but Aguero did miss a really good chance. He could either have scored or easily subbed De Bruyne once De Bruyne came on, and yeah, he missed, well, he got saved by the keeper, but then they scored pretty soon afterwards. Bernardo Silva with a really good finish, Mendy with 2 assists. He looked very good, Mendy did, down the left. Obviously injured for the entirety of last season. He's like a new signing for them, really. He's going to be good. Mahrez looked okay, didn't do too much. He was giving Maitland-Niles a bit of a hard time as a left back. Maitland-Niles went off injured eventually. Lichtsteiner came on and was a bit more savvy, and eventually they substituted Mahrez. But I don't necessarily think Arsenal are in trouble this season. I don't think anyone expected them to win the league. I don't even know if many people expect them to get in the top 4, and I'm including Arsenal fans in this, but there were signs of promise there, definitely, from the team. I just feel like there are some players who are not good enough to be in that team. Xhaka, for me, it just kept making so many bad passes. Their defence, as we know, is not good. That hasn't changed, it probably won't change. There's still question marks around Petr Cech, although he did make some good saves in the game. Where was Leno? I don't know. There were a few of their new signings who didn't play. I don't know what the reason was. You know, but if you're playing a 19-year-old midfielder who looks, by the way, exactly like David Luiz, against Man City, I don't know what you're trying to achieve there, but yeah, you lost 2-0. That's what you achieved. To be fair, if Man City had carried on like they did in about the first 15 minutes, it would have been about 6-0. Arsenal would have had a real hiding, but a fair play to them. They did come back into the game a bit, but it was deserved win, I think, for City there. Nothing probably to be like, oh, this is awful for Arsenal fans. You know, I don't think Arsenal fan TV is going to be going crazy right now, but you know, they're certainly not going to challenge for the title this season. I'm telling you that now. I did want to just say about Spurs as well. I forgot to mention, like, the fact that they rested Son but played like Kane, Harry Kane, who like looked dead on his legs at the World Cup. You know, his wife had a kid a few days ago. That probably disrupted him, and then they play him, and that's the kind of their biggest problem, is they don't have this backup option, which they do need. Whether or not it's a player who can slot into that spot like Son, it seems like he's injured, I'm guessing. It was part of the Asian Games in South Korea. Well, I'm an idiot for putting him in on. I didn't know that was a thing. I'm obviously going to have to sub him out for someone. I'm obviously going to wait a little bit because next week's fixtures start on the Saturday, so we have to get this in, I imagine, by like Friday evening. Or no, it would probably be Saturday 11 o'clock, wouldn't it? Cardiff, Newcastle, big fixture for both these teams. Cardiff, and they both need points, don't they? Same with Everton, Southampton in a way. If they want to kickstart their season, they'll be going for a win. I see Everton winning that, and I see this as a draw, personally. Leicester Wolves, that's going to be quite an interesting game. I'm looking forward to seeing that. We have a Leicester side who were unlucky against Man United, and a Wolves side who were a little unlucky against Everton. So they'll both want to get, you know, some more points on the board. Spurs Fulham, it'd be interesting to see whether Fulham could improve. As I said, if they played like the first 15-20 minutes they did against Palace, they could be a real force this season, but that will be hard to keep up, especially against a team like Spurs. Spurs now lost Son as well, so I don't know how good that is. West Ham, Bournemouth, yeah. This is a tough one for West Ham because obviously they just got hammered by Liverpool. Now they're at home. They obviously want to get a win. And Bournemouth are better at home than they are away, but they're still a tough side to play. So I don't, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if that turns out to be a draw. I think Spurs will probably beat Fulham personally. personally. I think that would be a draw. Chelsea, Arsenal, that's really fascinating as well. I really want to see that. I'm definitely going to try and watch it, I think. I start work at 7 that day, so I might be able to watch the first half, I think. But yeah, that's going to be fascinating, isn't it? Both new managers, Chelsea with the win, Arsenal with the loss. I'd go with Chelsea personally on that one. Burnley, Watford. Burnley need to get some points, but Watford are just a horrible team to play sometimes. Sometimes they're really easy, sometimes they're horrible. But I think Burnley need to start getting some wins. I say start getting some wins. They played one game, they drew it. It's a bit harsh, but you know what I mean. Like they need to get some points on the board, because if they're going to be in Europe as well, it could be tough. I mean, they might not be in Europe soon, but who knows. Man City, Huddersfield. Huddersfield do not want this game. Yeah, Man City look decent, and they look like they have more than enough to overcome Huddersfield, I'll be honest with you. I can't see anything but Man City win there. Huddersfield are known for the upset, and they do dig in and they do work hard, so you never know. But you can't look past a Man City win there, and I can't look past a Man United win here, because I thought Brighton looked really bad. So unless Man United really do self-destruct, and this Pogba thing is worth keeping an eye on, but I think Man United will win that as well. And then we have Crystal Palace at home to Liverpool, which, oh man, I'm quite scared about this game. We usually actually do pretty well against Liverpool, and it could be an interesting game. It will be a bigger test for Liverpool than West Ham. I'm not saying Crystal Palace are a better side than West Ham. What I'm saying is that we are a more organised side, and you know, our manager's been with us longer, and we look better at the back than West Ham did, and we've got a bit more of a threat up front in Zaha. So I think it will be a bit of a test. I think once West Ham get going, they'll be all right, but it'll take a little while for them to get sorted. But man, oh man, Liverpool, yeah, I don't want that game. But we got it. I'll be watching it, I'm sure. Look forward to it. But yeah, we could see a Liverpool winner, I think. I'd be surprised if there wasn't. So yeah, I've got to make some changes. I don't know if Sane's going to play for Man City, so I might have to get rid of him. I might obviously have to get rid of Son, although I'm not going to obviously put into him. West Ham's noble. I could put him in, to be fair, for Son and leave Son on the bench, but I probably want the money for Son to get someone else in. I think I'm happy with that. I think Aguero should play against Huddersfield. I don't know. It's a tough one. I hate Man City because you never know who the hell's going to play. Jorginho will stay in for that Arsenal game. Zaha and Benteke, I guess I've got to keep him. He could sneak a goal. I don't know. It doesn't look good for me next week to get many points, put it that way. But I can't really afford to do a lot of changes, can I? So I think I'm just going to have to take the hit on a bad week next week. Because basically if Palace score, if one of these two score, that's great, they get points, but then I lose points for these two. And if Palace don't score, I lose points for these two. So it's a tough one, isn't it? I think De Gea's fine in goal. I don't think Brighton will score past Man United. I think Sanchez is still a good shout in midfield to give him another chance. Jorginho, I might leave Sane in. I think he might come on and play. But we'll see. Anyway, let me know how you did. By the way, we do have the Plays Cup here, which you can join. I'll leave a link in the description. There's a few other guys in here, so welcome guys. It looks like I'm second. It might not be the case though. It hasn't really updated, to be fair. So yeah, I might actually be second to last, but we'll see. A few guys doing quite well there, so well done to you. But yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting season. It was some really good football being played, and yeah, I look forward to the next weekend, and then the games after that, and the games after that. But till then, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.